I got a story. Been meaning to post this one for a while. This is back around 2006. Early summer. I was just your typical 17-year-old kid. Parents moved around a lot back in those days. But we always ended up living beside large forests, woods or prairie places. Done plenty of exploring with and without friends. Ton of stories, but there's always one which makes you look back on with no definite answer in sight. No matter which way you look at it. But this is how it went down. Played a lot of video and watched a lot of TV. Taps was big in these days. People respected them then. So you can see, I was really taken by the whole let's go ghost hunting trend. Near my house there's this big urban forest, kind of like New York Park. Split into 3 parts, Forest 1, 2, and 3. Through the years, I had a couple strange unexplained events happen to me in them. Phantom smells, lavender, roses, simply faded away as quick as they came. At night, in Forest 2, which had a concrete foundation, where probably a house once stood, me and a few friends would see brief bright flashes of light just erupt over our heads with nothing ever there for miles, too close down for planes. It actually lit up the ground around us like if it were a hovering camera flash. Of course, now that I look back on it, it might have been a hunter's camera gadget strapped to a tree or something, one's guess. Then there was Forest number 3, which had a cemetery in it. Caught a ton of EVPs there. Chilling ones, most notable one was when I asked, is there a heaven, a hell, why don't you call for God? And a young woman replied to me, in a sad tone, there is no God. So there was some freaky stuff going on there. One day, I woke up early in the morning. 4:30 a.m. between 5. I recently bought this cheap $70 digital camera from Walmart and was extremely bored with it. So I figured an early walk in the forest should provide me with some unique pictures, which they did, if you want to see them. Probably not. But they're all from this day. And will post some. So I set out doing the same thing I've done probably 100 tons by now. I'm jaywalking down the streets, and after a couple blocks hit the forest entrance and dive in. And I dive in deep into her. I spend the next 15 minutes just heading to some known places I know would give me some good snapshots. So I take a quickie snap here. And another quickie snap here, thinking to myself, this is gold, son. All the while forgetting. The whole entire wood is empty, silent. Desolate as I had ever seen it before. I usually run into 1 or 2 people by now, either jogging or walking their mutts, but nothing. It's a good day. I say to myself. Let's carry on. So I head to this area called the safe zone. It's simply called that on account that it's wide, expansive with a little sand dune, and a tall tree smack down in the middle of it. So if you're under that tree, you can pretty much see all paths that string together Forest number 1. I'm there, so I decide. Let's bam it to the lake. I pick a path from the safe zone and head for it. It is at this time I sense an eerie feeling in the air, like I'm being watched. I ignored it, because at that age I wasn't mature enough to that point where everyone learns to trust your gut, feelings, internal ringing alarm bell, or whatever. I stayed calm and carried. I hit the lake. I'm tired from walking like 45 minutes of miles. The sun was out, but casting gray skies with a sudden in and out drizzle between instances. I perk myself against a ledge underneath the cover of some trees, and with a low battery on my camera just decide to hang out while staring blankly out at this lake that, be my recollection, wasn't swamped by a heavy fog or mist not 5 minutes ago. First time I seen the place like this. I tell myself. Then my eyes caught it from the distance. I'm frozen. I see a person draped in this loose sheet, what looked to be a black tarp. Just simply spinning, and spinning around in circles in a pond bush of dogtails. His or her arms open widely, as if praising something repeatedly. I'm simply there being as quiet as I can be, not moving an inch. barely releasing a breath observing this mad person. This goes on for about 25 seconds until the spin comes to an abrupt stop. I stare wide-eyed with thoughts racing in my head. What's going on? What is this? Should I? I'm thinking to myself, you got a camera, don't be one of those idiots who don't capture the things they so desperately brag about years from now on. Low battery, bars practically invisible. Cheap Walmart brand. Don't eye on me now. I reach for it and look up. And find him looking in my direction. And I tell you, I saw no face. It was white. Gray, whatever. Like a doll. Was it a mask? I don't know, but I was terrified that I was discovered. Pinpointed out from my cover. It was far from me, but it still managed to see me in like 4 seconds. So I just stared slack-jawed. Slowly lifting up my camera. In that moment it lifts one white arm out of its tarp and points at him. Just pointing at me from a distance. As if doing some ritual jest. Then his arm drops slowly down. You know that scene from Shaun of the Dead, where Shaun pushes the zombie chick onto the steel pole, and she gets up? While Ed rotates the film reel on his camera? That's what I did. I lifted my camera up, snap. Another one. Snap. Then the battery is officially dead. Then, I got up. Slowly backed away, and ran all the way back to the safe zone, and out a dozen trails and paths. Crisscrossing to my exit. That was a crazy day, I must say.
What in the goddamn? This is the most paranormal stuff you've seen on X in a while. Dude, those pics are so weird. Just wow. These pictures are giving me the goosebumps now. Not to diminish how nuts this story is, but can't help but imagine two dumbest metal dudes from your neighborhood filming an avant-garde black metal music video. Actual proof on my X now. I've truly seen everything.
Not completely a middle of nowhere story, but something that did happen to me while I was decently far away from most people. I was in a cultural exchange program in high school, where I spent my summer in Norway with a host family. My grades were much better then. They didn't go to hell till I got to college. Regardless, I saw a load of weird shit while I was there. This was just the first thing to come to mind. I was living with a family that ran a farm in Norway, working as essentially a part-time farm hand in a place a good ways outside of the nearest town. Terrible internet and spotty reception. It was supposed to be a cultural enrichment program, but honestly it felt like they used it as an excuse to get paid for accepting free labor. At least the food was good, and I got to know their kids pretty well. One boy a year older than me, I was 16 at the time, a girl about my age, and one younger sister who looked like she was 5 or so. One night a few weeks in there was a bad storm coming. A really fucking bad storm. I helped batten down the hatches so to speak and ran inside, hoping to just wait the storm out with everyone else. Hear the mom yelling like a crazy person. She says that the youngest daughter, who I'll call Hilda, is missing. Get roped into helping find her. Pretty sure there are rules against this, but I lack anything resembling a spine and didn't want anything to happen to the kid, so I go along with it. We search for a few hours. Mom and older daughter go back. When the wind goes apeshit, me and older brother, who I'll call Chad because he looked like the Nordic gamer, go back a little later. The dad stays out for another hour or so, but has to come back to the house looking even more like a drown rate than everyone else. Everyone just agrees to hope she's smart enough to find a place to hunker down and pray she's okay till the storm lets up. Stops raining elks and polar bears sometime the next day. I got out to search the mud and hailstone-infested land around the house with family for about an hour. Thankfully, we find Hilda walking around like nothing happened. Her clothes weren't even wet. Family is ecstatic, take her home, and scold her for disappearing, but not too much. But something never set well with me. She was in the middle of nowhere, no cover anywhere nearby, and we left as soon as things were safe. There's no way she should have been so unfazed by everything, and the dry clothes made no fucking sense. So I asked her a couple days later where she hid during it. I didn't hide anywhere. Oh, then what did you do during the storm? Someone helped me, but I didn't tell anyone else in my family because he said not to. I'm slightly creeped out now, was a little worried someone kidnapped her or something. So I asked her who helped her. The one-eyed man. At first I thought her imagination was just running wild, as kids do. But nothing explained why she was okay during that storm. I'm pretty sure I would have died if I stayed out during all that. And all the other weird shit I saw there made me think she might have had a run-in with something.